Okay, good morning, everybody,
Morning.
for coming. Kathleen gets the award for traveling the furthest to come to a CPF meeting. Giving up time in Marrakesh to be here because
Yes.
it's so important that she be here. Oh, here comes Tim. All right, we'll wait 3 seconds for him to get here.
Okay, I'm looking at the Artist Lane Preserve, the period,
Yeah, it's, they'll move.
you have to move it to 20, to the end of the line. Yeah.
Good morning. Late. Get a demerit.
You're fired.
You have to clean the erasers after class.
Remember that, huh?
Okay, do we have a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting?
So move.
Second? Any questions? Any comments? Heck, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Good. Community Preservation Fund finances. The format is a little different, showing end of year for the past few years. Good news is we received 140,109.36, which is actually the November payment.
Okay,
Which brings us to a total of
10 million.
10 million, sorry, 574,512 minus 3,900,000
Great, that's
for a
nice.
total of 6,674,512. However, we have a banner month for December, which won't show till next month, of 400, if my math is correct, $464,000, which brings us theoretically to a total for this past fiscal year, 24 fiscal year, $2,723,413, which is really good.
That's great.
It's a really good year. Any questions or comments? We continue to get about 36,000 a month in interest,
That's nice.
which is really good. Any other questions?
It looks great, this sheet, thank you.
Yeah, this is really nice.
Good format, we can read it.
Yeah, it's much easier on the eyes.
Thank you to Jessica.
Jessica?
Yes, Jessica, thanks.
7 South Cartwright update. We're still plodding along toward a closing. We're waiting for the FOIL request for the phase 1 on the, from Suffolk County Department of Health, which should be in momentarily. And I believe that there's a couple minor things that the seller has to correct, and they also have to give us how they want the checks dispersed. So, but we talked to Gail Wickham the other day, and everything's moving forward, and we should be fine.
What did you think of my idea of the name?
Give me the name again?
Josephson's Head.
Wait a minute, what are you going to put?
Josephson's Head.
I thought you said something Egyptian.
Well, no, it's the name of a statue that, a head that he bought. I sent the whole history of it.
Oh, I think I missed it. I think I missed it.
It's the name of, he bought a long time ago a head, a very rare Egyptian head statue. And when he died, it was, the woman who bought it, helped him buy it, was at the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. And it's rare, beautiful, and when he, or before he died, or they got it, the Museum of Fine Arts got this, and they're calling it Josephson's Head after him. And in Boston, it's referred to as Josephson's Head. It's so famous. I sent you all the email.
I
I
don't,
did read that.
I did, you did, I guess I missed it, sorry.
It's easy to miss things.
Been a lot of stuff
Anyway,
going
so
on.
we don't, I just mentioned that
Well, I
because
like the
did that.
concept, they just don't like you using names. You broke that rule.
Yeah, exactly. I
Where?
just thought it'd be nice to have some
Unheard,
Mildred Flower.
Old Tuttle Creek too.
Gold Creek.
Yeah.
Well, there was an historical thing, but.
Right, that's true.
I like that.
Josephson's Head, because it's a famous artifact.
We'll put a picture on the sign.
Exactly.
All right.
Anyway, it's an
Jessica,
idea
you'll
that-
note that and we'll talk about it again next month. Any other comments from Joe or Tim on that?
Let's think about
Okay.
Of course, come up with another one.
it. No,
No, I think people won't know what that means, but we could always explain it.
Explain it because he was an Egyptologist.
Yes,
Right.
but she was a ballerina too.
And she was Egyptian. Yep, and she danced for the Bolshoi.
Okay. Stewardship and property maintenance. You have Chuck's maps. You want to talk about this, Chuck?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Joe, do you have the maps there?
With me?
Which one first?
It doesn't matter.
Oh,
All right. So Joe and I listed 4 properties for trail expansion, and I believe the copies are up there. The properties are Artist Lane, and these are all extensions of what's already there for trails, but they're just extensions. Artist Lane, Cackle Hill, Mildred Herd, and Satcham's Woods Extension. So all of these extensions of the properties was given to Ken Lewis, and he will add to his calendar and coordinate the work between Joe and I, probably in the next month or so.
And that's the Sachem Woods Annex.
Yeah, because
Where is it?
there is a trail there, but it's just kind of overgrown. So, and
Yeah, I know that trail.
yeah, okay, and pretty much the whole area in the Sachem's Annex is all just open field anyway, so you don't really have to do anything in there. But just coming back to meet up with the trail in Sachem's would definitely be worth it. So you can extend, you just make a bigger, more substantial walk inside Sachem's.
114 is on the right.
114 is on the top. That's the Ralix house, right, like where the blue goes at the very top. And then Schulteis would be on the left, over by the red.
Ah,
Oh,
okay.
So yeah, so it's basically just opening up that existing trail.
114 would also be on the right.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we go back to Cackle Hill?
Yep.
Okay. Is there a trail there at all, the red?
Yeah, that's actually an old road, so it needs to be opened up.
It needs to be opened up?
Yeah. So it would just be a matter of opening up that. I don't think that their old road actually goes all the way where I have it, but so at some point you'd have to just make a trail. But so it goes a pretty substantial way.
So is the idea then you cross over the field and then you come back the other way?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you take the blue out to where it clears,
Uh-huh.
and then walk along that, and that's still town property.
Can we connect them at
I
that
think
time?
you might want to connect, just,
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I mean,
Officially.
with the markers, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll have it on there, sure. But it just, I just put what needed to be cleared on on this map, so.
okay.
So it's clear between that red line and that blue half circle?
Oh, yeah. That's the actual field that you walk out into.
Okay.
And what's the condition of the red area?
Overgrown road, needs some work. It might, it might take a couple years
Okay.
to do, so.
We'll get to that. It's fine.
Yeah.
This morning.
Speaking of any of these properties, so at the January meeting, we talked about trying to set these new boundary markers out. And then after going over to Artist Lane and wandering around trying to figure out where the boundary markers were, I realized it was an impossible task for you guys to do that. So I'm in touch with the folks at what was Hemmer Surveying. It's now TSPE. And we're going to send them a letter to get a price for them to come and set boundaries, markers with either one of us or maybe also with a town guy with a weed whacker or a piece of equipment, so we can actually clear an area so we can know where the boundaries are for any of these. I mean, it's just,
We've looked for them over there. We couldn't find it. Like
Yeah.
we had like a general area, but you know, we were even trying to find the corner of that house right there, but just nothing seemed to be too obvious. So, but we do know that like we do have a general area where we are anyway.
so we'll get the letter out to him maybe by the end of the week. And then, you know, he said, just tell me exactly what you want, and he'll figure it out, and then try to schedule it soon.
Is that just for Artist Lane? Or?
No. Capel Hill, Artist Lane, Mildred Hurd, there's no boundaries there, and you could be wandering into people's yards there. Kind of.
Yeah, well, that's all pretty well established, I think.
Well, the trails are established, but the
Yeah.
boundaries aren't.
Right, gotcha.
What was the other one? I don't remember, but
Crab?
Crab Creek, for sure.
Yeah, Old Lima Bean, I think, right?
And then,
Well, we don't have any neighbors there, though.
and then actually, we should add Ned's Lane to it as well.
Really?
Yeah. Because actually, you could show that picture. We did
I thought it was obvious.
go in and, well, it is kind of obvious, except that, again, the guys don't know how far in to go to clear.
Oh. You keep calling it Ned's Lane.
Well, anyway, they did mow. Wow.
Yeah.
Tim had identified the devil's walking stick, which was growing all over the place, literally. When Chuck, when you and I walked over there, it looked like you were thinking maybe it was sumac, but Tim has overruled us and said it was something else.
Yeah, I don't
Anyway, I did talk to Mr. Smythe about this. He was fine with it. He was, and then I went over afterwards and checked with him, and he was fine. So we're in good shape. But again, it was just being completely overrun. And that invasive had gone from that first field where you park, and it was now crossing over the trail into the next section.
Ned's been complaining about it even before we purchased the property.
Yeah.
He's had trouble with it.
And then if necessary, Ken said he will monitor it, and will monitor, of course. And then if necessary, we can try to go in and do some of that grapple machine that he has and rip out the roots if we have to. We'll see if the mowing will work for now.
I can also check when we get to the next,
Yep.
I'll come back.
Okay.
I see a tree hanging over up on the left.
Yes, there's definitely more. That's the reason I'm adding this property to it, because we want to make sure where we're cutting, and there's more that needs to be cleared as you get closer to the neighbors. So that's the boundary, that includes the concept of the boundary signs. I just want to keep the boundary signs on the list so we don't forget to talk about it. Once we get these markers down, then we can get in there. But it's daunting the way everything is overgrown. So
Do you have a priority on the list?
I'll just wait for him to do it. I think we'll try to get Artist Lane done first, so.
Yeah.
All right, assessment of invasives, you're up.
So Andy Sinesic, I know I sent a message out to all of you, but I'll just recap quickly. Andy Sinesic worked for many years at Cornell Cooperative as a weed species specialist. He retired a year or so ago. Anyway, when I called Cornell to find somebody else, I said, actually, he's still consulting. which is great. So Andy came over 2 weeks ago or so, and we went to Cackle Hill, West Neck, and Tuttle Reserve to look at the weeds there. And had some ideas about the mugwort. And then at Cackle Hill, we walked along the one trail, not the one, the new carve out one. And his suggestion was to really deal with stuff along the trail, not try to imagine you're going to do the whole preserve. And then, anyway, there's catbrier, which is native, but it's climbing up into the trees and it damages the trees. It's actually killed a bunch of trees. It's climbing into really nice holly trees, which we can clear out. And then when we went to Tuttle, we looked at the shorefront area, which the DEC has to be involved with. If we do anything there, we need to meet with them. But then along the road, it's really a mess. And Andy does not think the DEC would have jurisdiction there. So we could start doing something there. And then Tui and I met with Ken last week, and we showed him Cackle Hill and all the stuff that needs to come out along the trail. And then we also went to Tuttle and looked at stuff along Midway Road. And he can start doing stuff near the where the chain is. He can start working in that area first. Just open up something so it doesn't look like it's really cut off on the road. Anyway, it's as Joe just said, it's going to take several years to do this stuff. Andy really enjoyed it. We were out for 3 hours, and he wants to come back. I want him to come back, and we'll start going to other preserves and just do the same thing where he points out stuff that should come out, and sort of the most practical way to do this, where you're not doing everything, but you're starting with at least the trails, and keeping the trails wide and clear, and just getting all the bad stuff out and keeping the good stuff and trying to protect the good stuff if there's any there. He's also interested, I took him over to the Cedars, where I had offered at the last meeting to do a plant survey, but Andy is actually very interested in this with another person, and they're doing a study on on plants and insects and how their interaction is becoming out of whack with climate change. Things are blooming at the wrong time, or insects are emerging at the wrong time, so the interaction is getting screwed up. So he would like to do a study. He actually would like to do a plant study at the Cedars. And then I suggested maybe you want to go across the street where we have a lot more stuff, but we'll see. So anyway, he's a great resource, and he really enjoys coming over here and doing this. This was free, but we need to figure out, he suggested if we wanted to make I don't know if our committee can do this, make a contribution to the Cornell Weed Species Department. But I don't know what committees can.
Well, I mean, like WQI has a financial arrangement with Cornell Cooperative with the reef installation and also
Thank you.
with the annual seeding of oysters and clams.
Oh, okay.
WQI actually pays for that now. So.
We're essentially paying for his services.
Right.
Something we could do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't see why we couldn't anyway.
That's a great resource.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
I don't know how you find these people.
Well, I actually made contact with him several years ago. And we planned for him to come out then. Didn't work out, but he visited me at West Neck actually, before we started doing anything. And anyway, I just sort of kept in contact with him when I had questions over the years.
Thank you.
And it's great. He wants to continue doing this.
That's great.
And I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes here. But Chuck, I just thought I'd do this, and if we start tackling all these other preserves, it'd be great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all appreciated.
Good. Okay.
Okay.
I wonder if this would, it would be interesting if, I don't know how you schedule a meeting, but it would be interesting for all of us to walk with
If he comes,
him and
Yeah.
public,
I mean,
I guess on a
I-
limited basis could be invited.
Absolutely.
Want to know
I
about
don't
it.
know, I don't have to be the,
Yeah, yeah.
when the snow melts,
in summer,
when the snow melts.
when the snow melts, but before the ticks come out.
Oh, there you go. About 3 weeks.
So when we met with Ken, the goal is to really try to start tackling this stuff before the weather gets warm.
Yes. And things will grow out.
They start to grow out, and also the ticks start coming out.
I was speaking to John Needham over the weekend, telling him we were going to do this, so he didn't drive by and be shocked on the Midway side. And he had indicated that the guy who has been mowing that, Joe Clark, maybe, one time was in there mowing, and he said there were so many ticks on his mowing machine that he had to use a leaf blower to get them off.
Don't you think they'll be better because we've had such freezing weather for a long time?
I think that's mosquito.
Never makes a difference. It's,
I think that's with mosquitoes.
Historically speaking, it's not that cold.
Right.
But it's below freezing.
Yeah, and it helps a little.
It helps a little, but
I was just hoping.
it's, for instance, just a quick sidebar, the pine bark beetle that's devastating all the pitch pines needs much longer period in order to wipe that out, it needs much longer periods in colder weather, which we used to have, we don't have, and that's why the pine bark beetle just moved north.
All right. Anybody else? Any comments from anybody?
got the, boundary of trail signs, right?
Well, right, as soon as we get the TPS guys, TSPE guys here to set the corners, then we'll put up our tall, visible boundary markers.
Oh, okay, okay,
Right.
so you're, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, the trail signs, we had a meeting with Brad, and we went over those.
Okay.
So they are in the works.
That's the smaller signs?
Like the signs that would actually go at the preserves to show the trails at each preserve.
Okay.
As well as the new trail map that we have coming out. So everything should be ready this year. And this is also a good year to connect the trails in the center with like 1 6 mile loop.
Okay.
So working on that too.
We also need a smaller sign, not the typical county sign, which we would have at Artist Lane, at Artist Lane.
Okay.
But we need to note the Monantic property and then the Simpson property, but I
Okay.
think we need a smaller, discrete sign.
Okay.
Can you work on that with him?
Okay. You mean that just has the title of the property or like the?
Or indicating that this is the entrance and
The entrance. Sure.
whatever else you want, but I don't think we want a really big sign because it's a small,
Yeah. We don't need, we only need the big one for like the main entrance. So,
right?
okay.
Do you want to have, like a trail on it?
We could, yeah.
And say town of Shelter Island or something.
Yes, yeah.
Oh,
But it just, we're looking for it to be a little bit smaller.
Property?
but since we're on the topic, I went to Mashawak to look at the new signs they had, like I guess the ones like, they're like, I don't know, they're metal, they're on an angle, they basically have like a sticker on them. And they also have kiosks. I personally think the kiosk is nicer and a little more realistic. It just seems easier to maintain. It just seems like the other one with the stickers, it's just gonna end up peeling off. People are probably gonna like, kids probably like scrape at it or something, I just, how do you guys feel?
Do you mean the informational signs, like when you're standing by the
Yeah.
wetland and it has all the creatures in it?
Yeah, exactly.
Can't peel those off.
Can't peel them off, yeah.
No.
No, okay.
I mean, you could, I'm sure you could take a knife and deface them.
But as far as like for trail maps at each preserve, like do you guys, what do you, I just want to get like a general consensus. What do you think is better? A kiosk, like vertical, and it shows you all the info, you basically just put your map in there, close the plexiglass shut.
But I guess the thought was you didn't want to have a kiosk at Simpson or the other.
Right.
You don't want them all over the place.
All right, well, how about one kiosk then at Old Nursery? Because that was, we were thinking of that as like our central place for the center loop.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. And then the other preserves, I don't know if you want, whatever you think, you want to do
There'll be a
like,
kiosk at the parking lot of the.
Artists.
Yes,
the white property?
Yeah, we're supposed to put a kiosk there.
Okay,
I don't know if
by the
it's-
parking lot,
Yeah,
and indicate the trails.
okay, yeah, that's a good spot, okay.
there'll be a kiosk there. But I think when you have the Manatee entrance and the Simpson entrance, it'd be nice not only to say this is an entrance, but also just have a very tiny map so that people know where they are.
Like, presented how though, like on one of those like metal things at Mashomick, like
Well, one of
smaller
those
or?
plastic things we're talking about, the wildlife description. things,
Yeah.
But have a smaller version of that.
Okay,
Then you have,
that shows the map.
it just shows the map so that people are oriented to, because otherwise they're not gonna
Have to follow arrows.
know where they are.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, I think that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
Are we going to continue with those maps, the brochure map? Are we going to continue with that?
I thought we were going to redo it now.
Yeah, but I just
City Belt might be.
I just
about
feel a lot of paper.
It's author. I got the info.
You know, if you have a
Yeah,
QR code.
Cytorama, yeah.
John just gives the
And the kiosks,
map of Shelter Island and.
I have them.
Right.
That's all. And they're
they're so simple, the
Well,
kiosks.
those are the things we put in the,
Right.
You just talk to the
I
school.
was wondering. If it has a QR code, do we need it?
No, no,
One for the white,
to need,
Oh, okay, good.
that, really, if you show people on the front,
same person.
when they arrive.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, we're always changing it.
Well,
And
again, if we do what Joe is suggesting, or Tim is suggesting, you put the map for the place, that there will be the trail blazes on the trees,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So, it should be fairly obvious. I do have a question. In Artist Lane, there's a bunch, there's a bunch of little red flags along the trail. Like if you come in off of Simpson, you pick up what I think is the boundary for Lot 7 is one of them, but then there's a bunch of little flags like going southwest, like toward the water along the trail. I didn't know where they came from.
I didn't notice those, but I did notice a private property sign right next to Raymond Alt's house, which on our property.
I don't think I think that's Lot 7.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I thought ours was right next to Ray's, and then
It
the one
is.
next to that was the lots. So Lot 7 is CPF, right?
No, we're 8 and 9, the entrance of Lot, I believe it's 8, is smaller than you would think. You see that big overgrown field, and our entrance, the survey that we found doesn't actually have dimensions on it, so
Okay.
I can't measure, but it's essentially goes in a little bit and then widens out.
Okay.
So I think that private property sign there is indicating the boundary for Lot 7.
Hey, Jessica, can we just look at that real quick on the GPS, the GIS, I mean? Beyond Manantic.
You see, Kathleen?
Thank you. I'm sorry, which address?
Manantic, it would be the,
Artist Lane.
It's 722 0.
where are they now? see, this is raised, I think, right?
There you go, right? That's it. No,
No, not 19. It's 511 and 512.
Okay.
511 and 512.
This is the Simpson entrance, right?
Excuse me, guys, we don't see it on Zoom.
This one right here.
yeah, yeah, no.
Oh, you know what?
No, the Simpson is lower.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, no, I think I see what it is.
This is the Simpson entrance here. Put your marker over, down, come toward me, across the creek. Okay, so that's the one that you're talking about on
Yeah.
Menantic.
Yeah,
Not that big of an entrance.
this is secret for now.
Yeah, both of these.
And then can you just click on the one like with the house on it or in the corner right next to it? Right here,
No, this one.
this one. That,
Well, that's
I just want to
that.
make sure we're looking at the right thing. Yeah, that one.
This is Renault, right?
I just want to make sure that's Renault's house, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
That is, okay, yes, so that is a property I'm talking about, and it has a private property.
The private property sign is over here, kind of.
I saw it like right next to Ray's, like right here.
Oh, maybe he
Like,
put
it's an
one up.
entrance, like there's like the entrance that was cut in,
Yeah,
by the Realtor. So somebody's putting a private property sign on.
well, that's okay. So if it's their property, that's why we're
Well, it's
gonna,
not, I'm saying that's the CPF, right next to Ray's.
Can you get this up on Zoom for us?
We try and stop it and start it again.
we have to go take a look at it, but there are a couple signs low, and if you were looking at the property, it would be on the right-hand side as opposed to on the Renault side.
Right.
And I didn't notice anything on the Renault side, but that doesn't mean it wasn't there. Anyway, this is why it's critical to get these things
Surveyed.
surveyed and boundary marked.
Absolutely.
Starting, well, for Cartwright, can they do that right now? Do we have a survey for Cartwright?
I believe yes, we do.
So they should stake that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of obvious.
Yes, it's kind of obvious, but there's a couple of jags in there
Yeah.
that need to be paid attention to,
On the left, I guess.
both sides,
Both
actually.
sides. I figured while we're at it,
Can you pop it up on Zoom or not?
I'm not sure if it's coming up. Able to see the pictures before? Nobody said anything before.
Can anybody see that in the Zoom
Now we
audience?
can. Now we can, yes. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so, okay.
Recapping.
Okay, if you click on this piece, above Renault, that's it, that's the one. Okay, so our entrance along Menantic is relatively small, and then it widens out. So we're gonna open up that a little bit so it's more obvious at the front, at the roadside. It's really just overgrown with brush and olive. And then you can see where there's a couple of jagged, again, an uneven lot line that needs to be paid attention to. And then go one down. And that's the Simpson property, which is where I was talking about seeing all those little flags, like they were a bunch of little flags running along the trail. So I don't know if the guy who has been doing the mowing put them out. I don't know. But anyway, and here's where we want to put a small sign here, and then a small sign here, somewhere up here. And if there's a trail indication, or, you know, here it'll be obvious once you go in.
Mhm.
They should be able to pick up the trail signs. I mean, the trails there are pretty obvious. So. It will get easier once the boundaries are set, and it's just impossible for us to try to figure them out. You can't do it.
Really need them.
Any comments or questions from Zoom folks on this?
The Artist Lane, one of the extensions was to follow all the trails, but to kind of follow the water line, the shoreline going around.
Yes.
And there is,
You have that trail map that Chuck sent with the Artist Lane one? There you go.
That's it.
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you brought this up.
So again, we've got to have the boundaries clearly marked so we know where to go.
yeah.
And could we just talk about what the problem was with that existing trail on the top that's Xed out?
Yeah.
We think that it is just for vehicle access,
Emergency vehicle.
according to the easement. We're still reviewing it. Gail Wickham sent me some information. I shared it with Kathy, who did look at it. We're still trying to come to
I forgot to ask her to stay after.
a final
Meeting.
conclusion. But we believe it's just for emergency vehicles at this point.
There was also a issue with coming off of Mananic. The property on 7, next to 7, that gets you to 8 and 9.
Yes.
I mean, I did walk back there with one of the owners, and but I don't think that's where we want to establish a walking path.
No, we want to make sure that we put a marker, because it looks like you could walk there, but when we get to that point, we'll put a boundary marker that said, you know,
No entry.
no entrance or something.
That's the emergency room.
No, that's along
By the parking lot.
that runs from the literally behind the house that's there and lot 7. So we're not, again, there is a trail from when the family had exclusive use of the property, but now it's actually on their property, so we shouldn't be walking on it. We're going to try to note that out.
Okay.
So if we're gonna do this, what's this? This,
I think that leads back to the cul-de-sac.
was this here because originally you did this? I wonder if we just wanna,
Well, it'll connect over to the yellow one.
the other thing about this, I would like to walk it because there's a lot of huckleberry and other stuff all along that area. And we just want to be really careful not to lose it or damage it. So,
Yeah.
to go in there.
Yeah.
Somebody haphazardly making a trail.
Yeah, let's check that out, definitely.
I mean, I actually have not been over in that upper right area. I'm more familiar with the area point, because it was really dense. Didn't want to walk through there when the vegetation was still out, but it's a good time to do it now. I think there's some junk over there, but I'm not sure. Anyway, it'd be good to walk it before so we're just really careful about what we're doing here.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Any other comments? Okay, moving on. Artist Lane updated stewardship plan, which we need to approve today. Kathy?
Yeah, you were sent this, I think, already. This
That's,
past,
I think we all,
yeah.
Well, we made two changes.
You'll notice in red, I've added the transfers. Just move the period 4 lines down on the left. The period should be moved over to the third line. You see that, Jessica?
Yeah.
So
So you added one,
I added, well, since I first emailed you, I guess a couple of weeks ago, Grace White Borletti has been added. She was found on one of the transfer documents I didn't have. And then we were,
White,
sorry.
oh, Barletti,
And then on the second page, again in red, there are some test wells on Otis Lane. So in our subcommittee talking about the acquisition plan, we discussed that maybe those test wells could be used for water testing, and we made clear that that's the only use they can have, not to draw water. Other than that, it's the same as you were given before, and the town would like to approve it on their next meeting on the 24th. So do we,
anybody have any questions?
thank you for doing it.
And the 1, 2, 3, the third paragraph, the last sentence. Signs reading "stay on trails." You just gotta put the quotation mark over.
Jessica, you see that? Okay. There's an extra space, shouldn't be.
Any questions? Can I get a motion to approve the revised stewardship plan?
second. Motion. Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Stewardship inspection guide and form review. Which we're trying to make so that we can fill it in online.
Great.
But before we do that, we ought to make sure.
Would there be a way, Jessica, to upload photos?
You put something in SharePoint, you'd be able to add something in SharePoint.
So here's the procedure, and maybe we're not going to get to this today, and we want to review it and finalize it at the next meeting, but talking about the fact that we're supposed to do these physical inspections.
I wonder if we should add,
I mean, the concept was that every meeting we would talk about one or two of the properties, but the fact of the matter is, in the summertime, for the most part, we're not doing inspections. Most of the inspections happen now. And so I don't know if the procedure makes sense.
what, this procedure?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, saying that we're going to discuss them at each meeting.
I thought people were assigned,
They're assigned,
and then they can go when they want,
yes.
then submit it. Then we give them to Chuck. What I was wondering is if we should have a section where we make recommendations or something. In other words, if there's a tree across the trail, that's not an encroachment, but maybe somebody should take it out.
Correct. Yeah, and there was a couple other things that I noted, like, does the QR code work? Is what's the little holder, the acrylic holder for the maps, the map holder, and the sign
Yeah,
on the kiosk. And then I guess trail markers.
so, so you want that as recommendation?
Well, because so people actually.
Oh, so look at
those
those things.
Specific
You
things.
want to list them?
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
Okay, I think it's a good idea. and have a separate section for recommendations. Sign on kiosk, QR code work, map holder filled, and existing.
Right, and
I referenced a couple of things on the guideline report here. 1A, it's composed of 2 people, it should say.
right,
B, suggest starting the schedule in alphabetical order. And 1, photos that we take for the properties, we email them to who? And will the reports be filed, and access to our reports should be easy to find by this committee and also the town board?
so they would theoretically go into SharePoint, but and Jessica will explain to us how to do that at some point in time.
It's that to me too.
Yeah, or just send them to, email them to Jessica, and then she can upload them.
And then you'd have to have him put a section on the CPF website, inspection reports, I guess. Lekmansky would do that?
Somebody in the web, I'll have to talk to them and see.
Don't do it yet, but I mean,
Yeah.
I
Well, it
think,
just has to be in SharePoint. I don't think it has to be,
I mean, the public couldn't get to see them,
do they need to see them?
couldn't they?
Yes. I mean,
as long as the town board,
I don't,
Well, the town board,
this
okay,
committee can access, I think that's all that matters.
all right,
I don't think people are gonna go referencing to see if
probably not.
Kathy Kenny inspected the property properly. So,
Hope not.
does anybody have any other comments on the procedure?
So you want her to add these things?
Well, and anything else we think of. So if you think of something else that should, or we'll redo the form, we'll review it next week, next meeting, and then if anybody else has any other comments, get them to Jessica and she'll add them in before next meeting, or do it at next meeting as well.
Guidelines.
Anything else?
One thing we should think about is having somebody come and look at the trees. It's obvious when a tree falls over,
Right.
but
Oh,
yeah. So we have, it's just something to think about. I brought this up before, or 2 ago. But just make sure that there are no like branches that are about to overhead stuff. I just think we need to keep track of that too.
well, then that should be another thing that people try to observe in their thing. And then we're trying to get, which we didn't talk about because I didn't know you were going to be here. I didn't add it to the agenda, but we're trying to get the volunteer stewardship. So that would be theoretically more frequent observations that get shared. And then Dan Clark is the town arborist. So if there's a question, get them to go take care of it or take a look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of thinking of before, sometimes it's hard for us to look at something and think, oh, it's like you really need a professional to look at something, just walk a trail and look up, and say, okay, this doesn't look good or something like that. I don't know.
Well, I suppose, again, if you go and you see something, then try to schedule it through Chuck and he can get a hold of Danny to go take a look,
Good idea.
Okay,
you know?
however we do it.
Yeah.
I just think we need to think about not just get
So
things.
then we'll note on also then here, safety concerns or,
Hazards.
well, yeah, safety concerns, hazards. Maybe give an example, trees that look sickly or broken branches hung up in a tree.
Branches.
Yeah.
You know, when we went to
Tunnel.
Tuttle, and there was that big trunk there,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yes.
Might we want to invite Dan Clark to come with us if we know it's wooded?
Yeah, I think that'll be hard to schedule unless there's some specific reason to get them to go.
Okay.
Other comments, questions?
Are
Chuck, anything else?
we looking at this?
Well, yeah, that's all part of it.
Yeah.
What, you have any comments on?
No,
Who has this file?
which file?
The inspection report guidelines file?
We have it.
Just, you have it, just, okay, look at that, I just saw some.
I don't understand the first one.
It's old, so that's why.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Is it the current call for either annual, biannual, or 3-year inspections or no inspections? So what the hell is that?
I don't know.
What's that?
First bullet, Tim. I think it's annual, isn't it?
Doesn't each stewardship have different inspections on it, or I'm not
I don't
sure.
think, I don't have,
Well, there's a few that can't be inspected, right? You can't really inspect the Quaker property. We decided, we took the Ryan Horse Farm off the list.
Sachem really should be off, except the annex.
Right.
And then there's Cedar Island, which Gordon and I inspected, but basically we go down somebody's driveway and look down into a gully at it. We can't get there. There's really nothing to inspect.
But they're not biannual, are they, or 3-year?
I'm not aware,
I never saw that before.
because we probably haven't looked at this form in a long time.
Maybe, maybe this should come, all the property, there should be a third sheet with all the properties.
Yes,
And it explains what all of this means.
okay.
What do you mean?
Well, the fact that some of them, you don't inspect them because you can't either get to them or.
That's what that
Well,
says.
that's why I think we're taking them off of the inspection assignment list.
I know,
So we'll attach the inspection assignment list to
That
this.
would be a good idea.
That would be helpful.
yeah, I mean, of who's doing what.
And then if it's your property, you should go into SharePoint, just refresh yourself with the stewardship plan, and that will tell you what to do, I guess.
Well, I'm pretty familiar with most of them, but, because we're
Yeah.
in the book.
But I'm saying if you.
They don't much say anything.
They-
I mean, regarding that,
Right.
they don't say, that I
Correct.
recall.
And even to go to Sylvester Manor, the inspection, which you and I typically do, or sometimes.
Supposed to do.
But, they manage the property. It's this, if there's a problem, they fix it. I mean, it's really self-managing. Or externally managed, because we actually only have the development rights, not the,
Well, do we need
And only
this,
certain areas, right?
do we need these bullets at all?
no, probably not.
All right, so you want us to go home and look at this or something?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we'll talk about it again next week.
This is monthly, right?
Next month, right.
Any new business? Anybody from the Zoom audience have any new business?
I don't.
Old business, I forgot to put it on the list, acquisition committee, acquisition plan committee, subcommittee. So we did meet Friday,
Last Friday, yes.
and I believe we're at a point where we can revise the acquisition plan. Albert was part of that meeting. Kathy and myself, Amber, Howard, Gail Wickham, and Kim from
From PLT.
PLT. So we have suggestions, some comments, and hopefully we'll have that done for next meeting to approve it. I'm getting the evil eye from Kathy. Shortly, it will be
All
done.
right, yeah.
We're almost done.
I think we can, maybe I can
Well, Jessica can help with.
do it this weekend. This week is shot already, and it's only Monday. I have 2 other places to be.
That's the problem with busy people.
They're the ones that get things done.
Are there any other, do you want to update on?
No, I've asked Kim, I haven't been around that much.
Right, I know.
I've asked Kim for a list of all the committee heads, and she promised she would send it, community, neighborhood association, and I haven't gotten it yet, so I will start from
I
there.
might have it on campaign. It took her a while to send it to me, too.
And I don't know that I'm going to get it, because she was going to go to Vail. So if you have it,
Let me see if I have it.
You know who else might have it is Julie Weisenberg. She's very involved in the Silver Beach one. and
I am too, but
I don't know, because we're trying to invite the HOAs to come to the WQI to talk about IA systems and getting the associations
Good idea.
to support us and getting more people involved.
Silver Beach is kind of active.
Yeah. So she may have that current
Okay.
list, because
Let me see.
I'll remind Kim, but,
I would just,
yeah, no,
I'm sure she has it.
And you kept
Anybody else?
Oh, you may have a copy?
of the neighborhood list. yes. Me, the chairs, and
Remember that I can get in contact with.
to go look for it.
Take a motion to close the meeting?
I
And
do.
go to executive? All those in favor?
I.
Thank you, everybody.